Okay, so keeping in the schedule, guys. I'm kind of flying solo. Brian had some other engagements that he had to attend to, and so I told him we can handle this. I can handle this thing myself today. Um, I am when it comes to the message in the machine, I am the message side of things. My name is Brian Hill. I am a marketing strategist. I specialize in video content and other kind of content driven stuff, messaging driven stuff for your marketing. I know how to do the other things. I know how to do the ads and all the other stuff. But the place that I see a lot of business owners struggling is, what message do I need to get out there? Um, I have a business called I Sell Words in the Media Room. And really both exist to help business owners get their message out there, get their message heard to attract the clients that they're interested in. Okay. Today, this is going to be kind of a dual part thing. Um, I'm starting here. I'm starting here on my main page, and then I'm going to be taking this conversation to the Foundry. The Foundry is our private community um, where we talk high level marketing stuff or low level marketing stuff. Our goal is to get business owners super proficient at marketing their own stuff, or get them proficient so they know enough so that they can make good decisions when hiring contractors and things along those lines. It's also the future of the way that I see myself doing consulting work, where we have office hours. You can pop in and ask me questions directly. And if you want more intensive hands on work, I can absolutely provide it. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually taking this link for this live stream, for the first part of this live stream at least, and dropping it in the Foundry so people can watch along. But around, I think, 1:45, I'm going to pivot and shift this entire conversation straight to the Foundry, because that was the plan. So anyway, if you have questions, I'm telling you at the top of the show, if you have questions about marketing, content, making videos, posting pictures, whatever, feel free to ask them at this point in time. This live stream is only as good as the questions that we ask, and I don't hold things back. So if you ask me a question about marketing or something, I'm going to give you my best answer that I have. So if you're a business owner or you're an aspiring business owner looking to get online and start getting clients and stuff, this is the place. Ask me questions. Okay. So I'm going to get started. If you got a question, drop it in the chat. Okay. Here's the thing. So a lot of business owners, when they think social media, the thing that they think is your influencer, your, hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. When people think social media, they think influencers. They think people doing dances online, people selling products or services, that they don't necessarily own. They're selling other people's goods. The ones that are getting dances to go viral and getting things to trend. That's what they think when they think social media. When I think social media, I think of like a channel, like a television channel. Television networks have different psychographics, different personalities, or different age groups of people that watch their channel. And oftentimes, social media channels share the same qualities. Facebook has a specific audience in mind that most of its users fall into. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of them have the same, really have the same kind of thinking. They know who their audience is. And when businesses pay for ads, specifically like big corporations, they have a good idea of who they're trying to reach on specific platforms. If you want me to talk more about it, I can, and kind of give you what my estimation of it is. But the reality is, each social media platform has a type of targeted content or a type of targeted viewership, people that they perceive as their main users or consumers on platform. And oftentimes that's how the ads fall into play. That's when they're running ads and things along those lines. People will look, CMO, marketing officer, marketing strategist, whatnot, a big corporation is going to say, okay, this platform is great to engage people aged from this to this. typically this socioeconomic strata, and this is the right property or right service or product to put in front of them. And that's just how it runs. So again, it is one of those things where they know exactly who is on what platform and what audience they're trying to reach. So when you view social media, when you view it from the lens of um, channels. Television channels have different psychographics of people. Okay. I haven't got into the chat yet, so if there's questions in there, I will get to them momentarily. Um, but they think dancing, trending sounds, going viral, and a lot of people who don't really run businesses or run any kind of marketing, they have tons of advice. They'll tell you how to go viral on TikTok, and they say, well, you need to do this and follow this trend or use this sound to go viral on TikTok. If you have a product or service that is targeted towards a specific clientele base, the absolute worst thing you can do is go viral with a bunch of people who aren't buyers of your product. It's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, because what happens is you're basically training the social media platform to send people who aren't really aligned with your product or service. You're training it to send more to you. And if you're running ads or anything, that costs you more money, because the social media platform sends your stuff to people who aren't necessarily your buyers. Okay. So a lot of times people think that is, dancing and all the other stuff. Real business owners either do nothing or just post random stuff. It goes nowhere. They get frustrated. They say that this is a waste of time. Today we're talking about what content actually means for business that has real clients. Not necessarily a creator, a business. We can even include personal brand to a point, but your personal brand probably needs to be aligned with a business outcome. And oftentimes people build personal brands without any business strategy underpinning it. So that's what it is. And guys, I get it. This is not the most exciting, sexy conversation to be having, but it's the real conversation. Okay. So today I'm going to show you what social media looks like when a real business does it the right way. Okay. So there's a common misunderstanding. Influencers build audiences. Business owners build trust. Those are two different things. They sound similar, but they're different. There are people that have massive followings on social media, really big social media followings, but they couldn't sell a thing to them because their audience does not have that trust or faith in the things that they do. Okay. And unfortunately, that puts them in a position where oftentimes they're kind of selling to the wind, right? They post calls to action to buy, like if they start a t-shirt line or sell something, um, they try it and it doesn't work, and then they end up getting frustrated because, well, shoot, this thing doesn't work. Well, their audience has no trust or any faith in what they do, because their audience doesn't see them as somebody to give money to. They see them as somebody to be entertained by. And so that's really what the problem is. And so it's hard to do that cash transaction with somebody that you're only entertained by. The ones that have figured it out, like, a Mr. Beast or something, are few and far between. But Mr. Beast has built an entire ecosystem with an audience of people that trust him. The problem of it is, the products don't necessarily deliver all the time, and so his trust is actually taking a hammer to his trust. All right, let me see what the chat says. Okay, we're getting spammed here. Quick thing, guys. If you ask a question and it's not really aligned with the conversation we're having, you're don't be surprised if you go on timeout. Just because this is for people that are serious. We can't necessarily waste people's time with stuff that's not necessarily valuable to them. So low quality stuff is going to get banned or put on timeout. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I didn't mean to do that. Greg, I apologize. That is not what I meant to do. Hold on one second. I clicked the wrong person because I have somebody spamming my chat right now. So, Greg East Ham, I apologize if you had a real question. The thing sent it to the wrong place. I apologize for that. Anyway, let's continue on. Um, as it stands right now, like I said, that's the misconception business owners are running with. And so when you hear content, what's the first thing that comes to mind? If you're in the chat, go ahead and drop me an answer. Okay. Again, I'm not gonna, you don't need to know how old I am or anything along those lines. If you have a question related to marketing or content, let me know. But I'm not answering questions about how old I am or any of the other stuff. Hate to be mean, but that's the game. So anyway, I'm gonna continue on if I don't have any questions. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. Okay. So content is not performance; it's communication. You're communicating vital information to your audience. You're communicating top things that they can use to improve their lives, or you're communicating how your product or service can improve or provide them the outcome they're looking for. Okay. What content is? Content is anything you put out that represents your business. That's it. It's anything you put out there that represents your business. Um, and so understanding that there is a lot of different types of content that one can put out on social media, depending on what your intent is or what you're looking for, that can help you out. And oftentimes, it's not always just a come buy from me thing. Come buy from me, come buy from me, come buy from me. That's not what it is. So, a post, a video, a caption, a story, an email, a review response, all of this stuff is content. The question is whether it's doing any of the work. Okay. There's really two types of content in my estimation. There's noise, posts that exists but doesn't move anybody towards a decision, or entertainment. We all have diversions. That's fine. And then there's business content. These are posts that answer questions, build trust, or create a next step. Okay. And oftentimes, you have to define what that next step is. So that's where we go into the call to action. I'll get to that a little bit later on. Okay. And so, understanding that and knowing that that's what that is, most business owners are really putting out noise kind of content that isn't really driving anybody to build trust with you or make a decision. Okay. And you wonder why nothing is working. The dance, the little meme thing that you do that you saw that people they like it, but it's not necessarily building trust in your business. It's engagement, but if that's the totality of what you do, it's not really benefiting anybody. Now, if you're showing what your work is and what your life is behind the scenes of your business, that builds trust because people start seeing, okay, if I do business with this person, this is what I can expect. Okay. So it's not a posting problem, it's a purpose problem. If you send out enough content that people do not care about, they will stop paying attention to you. And unfortunately, that's the trap a lot of people on social media make. They put out content, they put out things that don't matter to the audience they're trying to speak with. And they end up getting ignored. Okay. So, um, let's have some real talk. In your last 5 posts, did any of them answer a question of somebody who may be your client or buyer? Did any of them show proof? Did anyone tell them did any of those posts tell them what step to take next? If your content isn't doing business work, um, it's not helping. It's not driving business for you. You can get an audience and get them to like you and everything, and that's fine. But then you also have to mix it up with other types of content. It can't just be, hey, look at us, aren't we cute kind of content, because that's not going to work. So that's where we're at. I may start not doing these on YouTube as much. Um, I get good clients from YouTube, but oftentimes the engagement side of it isn't that great. So showing proof is a big one, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit later because that's a really low hanging fruit that people can hit. Okay, the 5 jobs your content is supposed to do. Again, ask questions if you want to know, if you want to ask, pick my brain about some of this stuff. But there's 5 jobs that content is really, really supposed to do for you. Okay, the 5 jobs is make business easier to understand. So it's making your business easier to understand. Um, Answer buyer questions before you interact with them, whether it's a sales call, whether they walk into your shop, whether they shoot you an email. Okay. Show proof that what you do works. This is big in service businesses and things along those lines. The before and after shot is very powerful. And oftentimes it doesn't need a heck of a whole lot of words. Sometimes you can just identify what the problem was and what you fixed for that person, and that is enough. Okay. It reduces fear and risk because there's always a risk involved when you are paying somebody money for a service or product. It tells people what to do next. That is probably the step that I see get left out the most is the call to action because you give them good advice, you help them out, and then you don't tell them what to do now, how to engage you. Okay. So do any of your last posts do any of those 5 things? Do any of them hit any of those things? Do they do any of that? Okay. That's a question to ask yourself and take a look at the content you're making and putting out there. And if you're not getting what you want, if you're not getting what you want, then that's a problem. So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay. Number one, make your business easier to understand. People typically decide in seconds. If they can't tell you, if you can't tell them, they can't tell what you do, they tend to move on. If they don't know how your business or product is going to benefit them, they move on to something else that clearly explains how it's going to solve their problem. Okay. Two, answering those buyer questions before your interaction or sales call or whatever. Every question you get on a call equals content that you have not made yet. Any question that a client asks you before they agree to sign on the line for services is content you have not made yet. So the goal is show up already trusted. Okay. If you can bridge that trust gap before they even walk in the door, you're giving yourself an edge to win that client. Okay. Number 3 is you're showing proof that your thing works. So testimonials are content that you can absolutely use. A lot of you have thousands and thousands of positive reviews on Google or on Facebook. If you're not using those as content, you're hurting yourselves because that kind of stuff builds trust. Okay. Testimonials, results before and after, client stories, all of those things build that trust. It shows that you know what you're doing and your stuff works. Proof removes the doubt. Doubt is the thing that absolutely kills your sales. It's very hard to bridge that gap if people doubt what you're able to do for them. Okay. And that's one of the things that's always been my issue is I have so many different things that I can do. It's hard for me to articulate exactly how I can help businesses because it's really contingent upon what their problem is. And that makes it very difficult sometimes to explain exactly what I can do for people. Okay. Number 4, reduce fear and risk in the buyer's mind. People aren't just buying a service, they're deciding whether to trust you or not. Okay. Content builds that trust before you guys ever meet. I just mentioned that a couple of points ago. 5, this is your call to action. It's going to tell people what to do next. Attention without direction is the thing that will leak money faster than anything else. You have their attention, you've captured their attention, you built a layer of trust with them. Now we need to tell them what to do. Every piece of content needs a next step, even a small one. Even if you know somebody that this applies to, share this post with them. That's a call to action. Okay. So the thing is, which one of these 5 jobs is your content doing right now? Tell me. And drop it in the chat. I'm taking questions and I need if you got questions, hop on and let me know. Okay. So where am I next? Okay. Why business owners get this wrong. Okay. Here's the thing, and this is the reality. Oftentimes, when you log on to social media, you see the influencers, they got the great camera, the look is great, videos are well edited, really polished. There's a lot of shine to what they do. It looks amazing. You're comparing yourself to the wrong people. Um, their job on camera is to look amazing. That is part of what their personal brand is. Some of these influencers are aspiring models, they're actresses, actors, they're trying to sell beauty products, they're trying to sell clothes to you. And so part of their job is to look amazing and flawless when they show up on camera. That is not your concern. There's a lot of staging that goes on. There's a lot of finagling with lighting. You're fixing camera settings. You're doing a lot of different stuff to get that look, and that's not what you need to be worried about. More times than not, when people are watching your videos, specifically on a platform like YouTube, they're actually listening to your video more than they're watching it. Okay. Influencers build audience, business owners build trust. I mentioned that before. It's a completely different game with different metrics and different goals. Okay. People think they need to go viral. You don't need 10,000 views for people who will never buy from you. It sends the wrong signal to your algorithm and allows it to build the wrong audience for you. You need 50 of the right people to understand exactly how you can fix their problem and what you do. Okay. Business owners think that they need to post every single day. That cannot be further from the truth. There are some things that I post every day on just because I have fresh content. The way that I batch my content, I've set it up so that I have a fresh piece of content ready to deploy every single day. I don't record every single day. I don't record most days, but when I do record, I make it something that I can use multiple days, multiple weeks, multiple months if I need to. Okay. You just need to be consistent. All right. Consistency beats volume. One good post a week beats 7 unfocused, random acts of marketing. Okay. Business owners think they need to be on every platform. I just expressed this. Yes, I get a ton of traffic from YouTube, but oftentimes it's not, it's either because I get a lot of actual business, like people inquiries from YouTube and things along those lines, but the live stream isn't always the people that are in a line to do business or things along those lines. Okay. I'm doing well. How about yourself? I need a two piece. I need a two piece. See, and so what you're seeing is some of the engagement from YouTube, and so that's why I'm like, I probably should have put this live stream on my LinkedIn because it's business content, and so people don't log on to YouTube always to seek out business content. Some do, and there's a lot of really good business stuff out there, but from a live stream perspective, this is not a common delivery model that, and so the audience is kind of a little bit of a mismatch. It's not a bad thing. I've reached a lot of people on YouTube and I've had a lot of people engage with me and reach out, and I'm really small. My channel's super small, so that's not a bad thing. But you don't need to be on every platform. You need to be where your buyer already is. Okay. The real problem is there's no system. It's not a creativity problem. It's not a time problem. It's a systems issue. You do not have a content system that helps you create content and distribute content that's related to your business, that answers those five that does the 5 jobs that content is supposed to do. You don't have a system set up for yourself. You just do it whenever the mood strikes you, and that doesn't work because it can get overwhelming. Recording video, if you've never done it before, can be a very time consuming endeavor if you don't have a system to do it. Okay. And you spend hours and you don't get a return immediately. And that's the thing that discourages people faster than anything else. So we're going to talk about what a content system actually looks like, and this is what I do to help business owners. I help them figure out content systems for their business that makes sense for them, that they can do, that's within their wheelhouse, that they're comfortable with, and that they can always lean into, especially on days when you don't feel like doing it, because those are the days that are most important. Okay. A content system is not a content calendar. A content calendar can be part of a content system. But a calendar tells you when to post. A system tells you what to say, who to say it to, and what you want them to do afterwards. And it also makes it easier for you to create the content. Okay. The 5 parts of a content system. And I may add another piece on there in hindsight after I've written it. I see it, I probably left out something. So the 5 or 6 parts of a content system. The first part is your customer, one specific person with one specific problem. Actually, in the Foundry, we've created a tool that will help you identify that person and write content specifically for them. It's a little chat GPT thing that Brian and I designed. We dumped our knowledge into it, and it will help you identify exactly who your target audience is and what message you need to engage them with. It asks you all kinds of questions and everything. It's available in the Foundry, 17 bucks, just to help us pay for the hosting side of it. But we wanted to put that out there so that it's something that you can use. Okay. So the customer is one specific person with one specific problem. The message, what they need to hear before they're ready to act. That is your message. Okay. That is important. You need to speak to what's keeping them from taking action. Okay. The format. This is important. What can you actually produce and repeat? If video's easy for you, great. If photos are easy for you, you're used to taking like photos through Instagram and stuff, snap a quick photo, type a quick caption, that works. Do it. Okay. Blog posts are great. Audio, I've seen people use audio notes where they just talk into their phone and give their reflections on the market of what they're dealing with and post that, or dump it down to make a newsletter out of it. That will work perfect too. Okay. But it's got to be something that you can actually produce and repeat quickly. Okay. I don't want to say quickly, but with ease, where it's not consuming your entire day. Okay. Rhythm, a schedule that you can sustain. This is not a sprint. Okay. You have to find your pace. And a path. We got to give a next step after each piece of content. Call to actions are hugely important. Okay. And I know Gary Vee's talked about the jab, right hook kind of thing, where you give people good information, good people information, and then you make the sales pitch. So not every call to action needs to be a sales pitch. Sometimes it could be asking them just for their follow. If they like your channel or like your platform, ask them for a quick follow. Sometimes it could be asking them to share it with somebody that will benefit from it. There's multiple ways that you can stick a call to action in there. Okay. So 3-2-1 weekly formula. Let's do this. 3 teaching posts, answer real buyer questions. I'm trying to make it simple. 2 trust posts, proof process behind the scenes, and 1 offer post, what you do and how to work with you. That is a good cadence to get started with. That's about 6 posts a week, or 3 if you do it every other day. Okay. And if you know your business, you already know enough to fill in all of these. Okay. If you can't explain your business once a week, the market will tend to forget about you. So what this looks like for a real business. Still open for questions, open for questions. So drop them in there. Okay. So what this looks like for your business. Okay. So, and I'm using some businesses that I actually have done interactions with. And so if they're watching this, hopefully you pick up on this. What this looks like in real business, a pet spa. This is kind of before and after. The content will look like before and after grooming photos, FAQ on, best ways to even wash your pet at home, or on pricing, a client story about how they handled a nervous dog. All of these things build trust with the specific client base. A cleaning service. This is low-hanging fruit. Before and after a deep clean, 5 things your cleaner should be doing, a move-out checklist, tips and tricks for you to get a stubborn stain out of your carpet by yourself, things along those lines that could be beneficial. An HVAC company, a YouTube video, why your AC doesn't cool is a very big one, because some of these are problems that people can solve at home without having to call an HVAC technician. And if they do the maintenance themselves, they can save themselves on one hell of a bill. Okay. Honest pricing breakdown, specifically with all the weird tariffs that have been going on and things along those lines. Equipment, specifically that kind of equipment, the price fluctuates and can change from a week to week basis. And so being transparent about how your pricing works is a very, very, very good post that is low leverage that you can make that clarifies a question that's in your client's brain. Okay. And let's see, a nonprofit, your impact numbers. Okay. Where your donations go, your volunteer spotlight, your community story. Talk about the difference you make in people's lives. Talk about the mission and why some of your best workers are there. Because oftentimes in a nonprofit, it sure as hell is not it's not the paycheck. I can speak from experience. More times than not, people who are in nonprofits are mission driven. And so giving people a real glimpse behind the scenes of why people do what they do to help other people is huge, and it can bridge trust really easily. Okay. None of these things are viral content. None of them require a production crew. All of them answer real questions from buyers. So, what's the number one question you get before someone hires you? If you have that locked in your brain, that question is your next piece of content. It could be your next 4 pieces of content. Okay. Your everyday work is more interesting than the content you've been posting. You're just not capturing it. You're not showing people what you do. Um, I've told clients the stuff that you think on a day-to-day basis that is so boring that you do and is tedious and all that other good stuff. Okay. That stuff that you think is the most boring stuff in the world is fascinating, is gold to the right client. Okay. We're going to talk about why people stay stuck. People tend to overthink the format. Do I need a professional camera? No. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of even high-end YouTubers started out and still use their iPhones on a daily basis. You know, cell phones are it's a great camera with a microphone. You're ready to rock and roll. You don't need much more than that. Okay. Um, you don't need a high-end production camera. In fact, when you start moving into mirrorless camera bodies, the things that you see a lot of these YouTubers shooting on, like the more high-end video-oriented ones. Um, hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. When you start seeing the camera, like this is an old mirrorless camera. Okay. This is over 10 years old. Okay. Still works like a champ, but every dial, every switch, every setting is a new learning curve. Okay. So what am I shooting on right now? I got a webcam. Plugs into my computer. I can mess with the settings on my desktop and it gives me the image I want and it serves the purpose I need. Okay. You don't need expensive camera gear to get started. Okay. I have my more expensive mirrorless camera that I use that's plugged into my computer that I can use for any kind of content I want to use. I still opt and tend to use my webcam most of the time. You don't need an expensive camera. Okay. They overthink the platform. Should I be on TikTok? Is your audience on TikTok? TikTok tends to skew younger, but the TikTok shop is kind of changing the game. Do you have a product that really benefits from a live selling kind of environment? Collectibles, comic books, stamps, products that you can mass produce, T-shirts, things along those lines. That will make your decision for you. They overthink the frequency. Do I need to post every single day? We've already talked about it. You don't. Okay. The answer to all 3 is start with what you have, where your buyer already exists, and as often as you can sustain. That's the secret. That is $3,500 worth of consulting right there that I normally charge for. Okay. Those are the questions. Those are the answers. Start with what you have, where your buyers already are, as often as you can sustain. Okay. The real blocker that a lot of businesses have is they don't know what to say. And hopefully, as I'm reaching the end of this, you have an idea of what to say. If you need more help, I'm not hard to find. And my email, I can throw it on the screen. If you want more, you can always reach out to me and I can help out with some stuff. I need to go and find the banner where my email is hiding. Who start here. Shoot me an email at bsaleswords@gmail.com. That's where you can catch me. If you have more questions about what to post, that's how you can engage me. Okay. There's other ways. I have multiple emails and things along those lines. If you really want, if you want a consultation, you can also hit me up at mail@isellwords.net and schedule a consult. I'm always open to sit down and talk to just about anybody, to give you some actionable information, and then we can make the decision of if you want to move forward with an engagement with me. Okay. But the real blocker is people don't know what to say, and it's because they haven't really defined who they're talking to or what the person needs to hear. That's the work. Everything else is literally just execution. And the reality is most businesses don't have a content problem. They're not clear on who they're talking to. Okay. So we're going to talk about what to do with this. Okay. So with this information, and then we're going to take the rest of this to the community. So if you haven't signed up for the school community, here's your chance. Go ahead and sign up for the school community to finish out this conversation. If you want a more private environment to ask me questions about marketing, that's where you can find me. Okay. So let's power through this last part of it. Now that you know what content is supposed to do, you know the 5 jobs. I gave you the 3-2-1 formula. The question is, do you know what your content system looks like? The answer is no. If you're not sure, it always starts with an audit for me. I audit what your current output is and where you are. Okay. And so it's reviewing your entire content footprint, figuring out your message, platforms, format, workflow, and lead path. Tell you what's working. I tell you what's broken and how to fix it. Okay. And so if that's something you're interested in, hit me at my email. You see it on the screen. Shoot me an email, and we can book a time and sit down and have our initial conversation. Okay. My website is the iswmediaroom.com. If you want to learn more about it, you're going to find this presentation on there. And it should be under what is content. If you want to see what this presentation is, if you want to keep learning, I have a couple of free resources available on my website under free resources. Okay. It scores, we could score the 5 systems and it'll tell you what to fix first. Okay. And so look at all this stuff and we can get this ball rolling. That's really all I got, guys. I got to move on to take this to the community. Looks like I got a question in the chat. Hey, Josh, how's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you got something from there. I'm taking it over to school. So if you want to join me there, I'll be up and running in about 6 minutes over there. But if there aren't any further questions, and Greg, I didn't mean to ban you. I was getting spammed and I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. I apologize. But yeah, if that's something you're interested in, hit me up. And I'm moving to the school community. So if you joined in, if you're already in there, if you requested access, I will be in there to let you in, and then we can get this ball rolling. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Brian with the Foundry and the Media Room. I will see you momentarily. Peace.